Hello, and welcome to class. It's a little bit different today, isn't it? Well, let me tell you how this is going to go. I'm going to start off by explaining a concept, then I'm going to show you how that works in Chrome Music Lab, and then I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do the project, do the assignment. There's two parts to today's assignment, so I have two different places where you can submit it in your Google Classroom, and we'll see that pretty soon. For my middle schoolers, this is all review for you guys. So hopefully you'll watch this, understand some things a little bit better if you don't have a grasp on it yet. And then you have plenty of time to work on those assignments today and make up anything that you didn't do throughout the week. Alright, so last week we talked a ton about the idea of melody. About the beat. Today we are looking at melody. There we go. Alright. So with melody, we have something that's really important. We have the idea of intervals. And there's two different types of intervals, and we'll talk about what all this means in just a second. So intervals are basically the distance between two notes. So whatever note you start on, and then the next note that comes up. And it can be either be a step, or it can be what we call a skip. Step is pretty easy, whereas skip's a little bit more complicated. Either way, though, they use our musical alphabet, which goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it goes right back around to A again. And it can keep on going as long as we need. So it could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, however long we need it to be. Alright. So for steps, these are going to be directly next to the note that we start on. Let's say I start on the note D. Well, if we look directly next to it in either direction, we found our two stepwise notes. So we have E, and we have the note C, which are both stepwise. But we don't have to necessarily start on the note D. We can start anywhere. So let's say we start on the note F. Well, you can either go up to the note G, or you can go down to the note E. Pretty basic so far, right? It's just whatever's the next note, or the note right before it. Alright, well let's jump over to our Chrome Music Lab. We've all seen this at least a little bit before. I'm going to start right there with my red note. Next, I'm going to look at the one that's directly higher and lower than it. So right above our red note is going to be orange. So red to orange is going to be stepwise. And then we can go back down the same way. Alright, let's look at the one that's lower, the one that's below it. So red down to pink would be stepwise. So there we go. That's all it really takes to write steps in our Chrome Music Lab. It's either the one that's directly higher than it, or the one that's directly lower than it. So we have red to orange, red to pink, pink to red, or pink to the purple color. Alright. I want to mention something really important here. When we're talking about steps, or any intervals at all, we're talking up and down, not left and right. Left and right actually doesn't really affect it. That affects what we call the rhythm, which is more important in our beat that we've discussed. So we know red goes up to orange. It doesn't matter if the orange is directly next to the red or not. It could be as far away as we want it to be. And it's still a step away. Here, each of these is still a step, no matter how far away they go. Notice, no matter what, I always went from the color to the next one up, or one color to the next one down. Doesn't matter left or right. Once I have this, I am technically done. But I'm going to add something in to challenge you. If you think this is super easy, I want you to do this next part. If you're sitting here and you're not quite getting this at all, feel free to rewatch the video a little bit, try and get a better grasp of it, and only do this part. So the next part is only if you think this is super easy and I'm not really having too much of a difficult time with it. Alright, with this we can add in a beat of some sort. Remember, with your beat, you want to keep that steady beat, that steady pulse going throughout the whole thing. So I'm going to write that in first. And let's hear it. I'm going to pause it right there. You can hear with my melody, everything sounds really close together. It kind of goes one up, one down. But my beat right now, that sounds really boring. Just bum, 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 bum. So let's spice it up a little bit. Let's add something a little bit more interesting. There we go. So now if I listen to it, I'll hear the rhythm add something else to it. You still clearly hear that steady pulse, because that's kind of what I based it all off of. But now you'll also hear that addition to it. So I can do that the whole way through my beat. But we want to keep in mind our rule of 3 that says we can do things 1, 2, 3 times in a row, but the 4th time, we want to change it up a little bit. So now, when we listen to it, we'll hear one thing, same thing again, and then we'll change it up at the very end. Wait, one more thing I want to mention is notice in my melody, I don't have any notes directly on top of themselves. Everything is kind of in its own line. The reason I do that is because for a melody, you want it to be something singable. If we have more than one note playing at the same time, I wouldn't really be able to sing that, because that's just physically impossible. We want to just have that one line of music, nothing else going on at that same time, except for the beat. And that's just because we want to focus on our steps and our melody. Alright, at this point, I am completely done with this assignment, but I have to make sure I submit it. I want to show you how we do that now. You're going to come down to this the bottom right of our screen where it says Save. We have a little check mark. I'll click on that. As soon as you do that, this white screen appears. Now, I just have to click on the middle words where it says Copy Link. It's in blue to make sure that you know it's there. So click on that. Alright, we are taking that link and we are going to be posting it on our Google Classroom. So let's jump over to our Google Classroom. Boop. This is what you guys normally see. You're going to go under Classwork and you'll notice current assignments. We have the date, and then we have 2 assignments, because there's going to be a second one after this. Well, the first one says stepwise motion. That's what we just wrote. So you're going to hit View Assignment. For you guys, it doesn't look like this though. This is just how it looks for me. At this point, let me show you guys what it will look like. I think I have to just erase all of this. I don't think I can make a second page. So let's do that. Boop, boop. Alright, when you guys hit that View Assignment button, a small box will appear. And it will say, Turn in. And you'll get a little plus sign right there that says Add or Create. You want to click on that little plus sign that says Add or Create. After you do that, a drop-down menu will appear. There's a few choices there, but the second one should say Link. You want to click on that. Once you do that, you'll see a new window appears. big one that's kind of asking you for the link. Well, all you have to do is hit the paste button. You can do that one of two ways. So either you can just right click and you'll have the paste option right there. But I find right clicking is pretty hard on those little trackpads. So instead, you can also hold down the control key. It's at the bottom left of your Chromebook. It says CTRL on it. I don't know why I put it in the wrong order. There we go. Okay. So you're going to hold that one down. And then you're going to press the V key. So once again, you hold down the button to the bottom left of your keyboard that says CTRL on it. Then you're going to just press the V key. Once you do that, you should see that your link is pasted in there, and you're good to turn it in. But at this point, you guys can pause the video, and you can start doing this assignment. I'll wait. Go ahead and pause it. Did you pause it? But did you pause it though? At this point, I'm hoping that you paused it, and you submitted the assignment. If not, get to it. I'll wait. Okay. So, assuming that you've paused the assignment, we are good to go for part 2. Give me just a second to clear this all off. Bam, should have done that while I was paused. Too bad. Alright, so we were talking about the idea of melody, and we discussed the interval of a step. But I mentioned that there was something other than a step as well. And that was a skip. There's a lot of different types of skips, and we're going to only be a little specific today about it. I'm going to go over a few of them. But once you kind of get the idea of it, you can do any kind of interval that you want, any kind of skip. Alright, so we're talking about a third right now. Just like our steps, our skips follow the musical alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Alright, let's say we are starting on the note D. Well, that's going to get the number 1. Whatever note you start on is number 1. That's super important, and I cannot stress that enough for you. So the note D is number 1. We want to count up to the number 3, so let's keep on going. D is 1, E is 2, and F is going to be 3. So the note D going up to the note F would be a third. But we can also go down that way. So once again, D is number 1. That's the most common mistake I see people do, is that they just don't count whatever they start on. D is 1, C is 2, and then B would be number 3. So D down to B would be a third as well. Let's do another example of this. I'm going to make you guys think a little bit on this one. Want to get rid of all the things. Alright, this time we're going to start on the note F. So remember, that means F is number 1. I want you to stop and think about this. If F is 1, what would a third higher be? I feel like Dora the Explorer right now. Can you find the note that's a third higher than F? Well, let's stop and think about it. F is 1. That means G would be number 2. What would the third be then? That's right! Assuming that you said it out loud, it's going to be A! Hopefully you got that one. But we can also go back down, and you know I'm going to ask you that. So F is 1. E is 2. And what would 3 be? Sorry, what was that? That's right, it's D. I'm getting into the whole Dora the Explorer vibes now. Let's go. So F could either go up a third to A, or F can go down a third to D. Let's see what this looks like in our Chrome Music Lab. Alright, so we've already talked about the idea of steps. The next one up and the next one down. But let's start thinking about the idea of a third. So red is number 1. Orange would be number 2. And yellow would be number 3. So we want to go from red all the way up to yellow. And we can do that same process back down. Let's start on red again. So red is number 1. Pink is number 2. And purple is going to be number 3. Alright. Let's jump back over to our little whiteboard over here. We have more than just the interval of a third. We have thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and octaves, which is an eighth. But for today, we're just going to really talk about the idea of thirds, fourths, and fifths. They all use that same process, so hopefully, once I go over them a little bit, you'll kind of be able to do anything that you need to. Let's look at fifths first. And let's start on the same note, F. F will be our number 1. Remember, number 1 is whatever note you are starting on. And let's count up. F is 1, G is 2, A is 3, B is 4, and that means C is number 5. So F up to C is a fifth. We can go back down as well. Well, make sure you know F is 1. And then start counting. E is 2, D is 3, C is 4, and ba-bam, B is number 5. So F can go up a fifth to C or down a fifth to B. I'm going to ask you a little bit of a trickier question this time. I'm not asking you for a fifth this time. Using that logic, what would a fourth be from F? Stop and think about it. So for a third, we only counted to the number 3. For a fifth, we counted all the way up to the number 5. What number will we count up to for a fourth? Hopefully it's pretty obvious. We are counting up to the number 4. So F is 1, G is 2, A is 3, B would be 4. We don't even need that one. Let's do it backwards. F is still 1, E is 2, D is 3, and C is going to be 4. So we just figured out how to write a fifth and then immediately after a fourth. It's the same process with whatever interval you want. If it's a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, an eighth, whatever. You just gotta count it. Let's jump over to our Chrome Music Lab once again. Let's start adding an interval of a fifth. So we're starting on red. Red is our number 1. Orange is 2. Yellow is 3. Green is number 4. And that bluish green color is going to be number 5. Let's start somewhere else and check it out. Let's start on yellow. And let's try going down this time. So we're doing another fifth. Yellow is 1. Orange is 2. Red is 3. Pink is 4. And purple is 5. So now we have the interval of a fifth in here. Remember though, for all these, it doesn't matter how far away they are left and right. So this one, I'm going to put in a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm going to make it a little bit more distant. And now maybe I want to go from this note to up a third. 1, 2, 3. I want to ask you, what interval did I use at the very end there? Think about it. I went from red, down to pink, down to purple, and then down to that bluish-greenish color. Right. So I've basically done your assignment right here. You're going to be using stepwise motion, and then a few skips. So I'm using some thirds, I'm using a fifth, and I'm even using a fourth. Once you've completed this, if you still have some extra time, feel free to add a beat in there. Remember, the same rules that we talked about before still apply. We want to keep that steady beat really clear. And then we want to make it a little bit more interesting. And you also want to make sure you're following the rule of 3. You can do the same beat 1, 2, 3 times in a row, but the 4th time, you're going to change it up. All right, hopefully, this is giving you enough to think about. I'm going to let you guys, at this point, pause the video and get going on your assignment. Please feel free to review anything you need to by going back in this video a little bit. Especially if you need to remember how to put your assignment on our Google Classroom. You have to copy that link and paste it in our Google Classroom. Alright everybody, have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I can't wait to see what kind of assignments you guys turn in. Alright, goodbye.